Hey everybody, Stephen Bogran here from Physique. Today I'm talking peaking.
My name is Steven and this is our video about health and fitness things, and I work for Physique and I am just a guy with a fitness thing for you.
Alright y'all, I hope everyone's having a great day. Wow, just got done at NPC Junior Nationals and what a wild ride that was. Whew, had Christina in second place, which absolutely awesome. Moving up from, I believe it was 5th at Junior USA's. After a wild ride, even getting there, not a lot of sleep, lots of stress, and making it to stage and doing so well with it. Then Danny Vavra in B class, taking second callouts, awesome for our first national show, and Victoria Connolly moving up from her last national show from third callouts up into second callouts this year. So really wonderful results for everyone. Everybody I felt looked their best. So extremely happy, and of course always happy when we're making progress and moving up. So congratulations ladies to all of you. You all are doing wonderfully and I'm super proud. But let's talk about this weekend, because I think it was really a great weekend to make some good points, because it was a hot weekend. And it was a very difficult weekend, I think, for people to stay full and to really bring in their best. And I think we saw a lot of that just across the board from competitors. So I wanted to talk about what I do in peaking, how we manage some of these things, and some really important factors. So let's start with the easy one, being carbohydrates. Yes, I bring carbohydrates in. What we do is a progressive linear load, which means we might start on a more conservative end and just work carbohydrates up throughout the week. Why do we do this? Well, if we want to fill out the muscles in glycogen, we have to have carbohydrates to do that. If we are not working up carbohydrates, we are not filling out. We are just staying flat. The only time that this wouldn't matter is if we've already been lean enough, we're maintaining our weight, we're reversing in, cool. Now maybe we can still come in full without having to make this increase to carbohydrates over the week. But this is very rare. Most people aren't doing this. And even so, we can still deplete and then fill out throughout the week, bringing carbohydrates up. But one thing that I would never do to a competitor going into a peak week is keeping carbohydrates super crazy low, particularly being if you're already conditioned. What that does is it makes you look less conditioned. This is what we call flat and stringy. Essentially what happens is because our muscles aren't full, they don't push out against the skin. Because they don't push out against the skin, they don't create the same detail and lines. Whether that be your glute ham tie-ins and your shoulder lines, your oblique lines as a bikini competitor, whether that means your glute striation, chest striation, shoulder striation as a bodybuilder. All the same. So making sure that we're feeding you into a show is very important. But that's definitely not all of it. Secondarily, we also need to keep in mind stress. So this easily thought of can be cardio, which is why I like to taper cardio down coming to the show as well. That way we're reducing the amount of stress that we're putting on the body physiologically. I'm also not going to have anybody train crazy during peak week. We're probably going to train to like a 7 or an 8 on RPE, challenged, definitely not overwhelmed. I don't want anybody being sore because I don't want that stress on the body. I don't need that cortisol response that's creating extra water retention that could possibly impact your sleep, right? Along with stress, we also do want to consider sleep. Sleep is a big one. So when we can't sleep or we don't get good sleep, that puts us at a disadvantage. When we sleep well, our body utilizes fat better. We have less stress and cortisol response. We maintain our water balance better. Now we can look our best again. So making sure that we're getting good sleep is another big part of it. And then of course, managing that stress and anxiety that comes along with doing a show in general, but even more so for everyone this weekend, doing a national level show. There's a lot of ways to help manage the stress. Maybe it getting good sleep, maybe it bringing down our cardio, bringing down our training intensity a little bit, filling out on carbs, making sure we're getting good sleep. But there are also other ways that we can help to manage that stress as well. And maybe some of those are, hey, if we're prepping, maybe we don't really need to post a ton about it on social media, whatever it might be. Some of us may not care. It may not add extra stress to some of us, and some of us may be okay with that. However, what I've found for most people is that it kind of creates this feeling of pressure. People have expectations of us, they're seeing us, we've put expectations on ourselves, and now there's extra pressure going into the show for how we need to do. So maybe even regardless of how we look, we still get a little bit extra nervous, a little bit extra anxious, and that can create some issues for us. That can make it hard to maintain our water balance. That can make it hard to stay full. So our stress is really important on this one as well. Making sure that we're not overdoing it and we're managing that stress well. For me, I like to meditate. It really helps me to be mindful of where my stress levels are at, understanding what calm is, and being able to find calm again, even within some kind of crazy situations. But, okay, stress. What about water? Water and sodium are two that are going to go into the same bowl, the same stream, the same, exactly. But they're both going to be another really big factor of fluid balance. This weekend was hot. And next weekend over in Rome is going to be hot. When it's hot, when it's humid, that matters. Every single competitor I had to bring up their water intake significantly, and I had to bring up their sodium intake pretty significantly as well to make sure that they were staying hydrated and full. Now, this doesn't just matter on show day and going into show day. This matters during your peaking week as well, because you need that water and sodium to help get the carbohydrates to the muscles. They don't just go there. You also need that water and sodium for healthy digestion to make sure you're breaking everything down and again, getting nutrient delivery to the muscle. You also need that water and that sodium to make sure you can get a pump, to make sure that your muscles work properly. Sodium is actually giving your muscles electrical signals to work properly. Of course, yes, your muscles that do all the strong things, but yes, your heart and everything else as well, all of the things that keep you alive. So for me, we want to be aware of making sure that we're getting enough of those things. So what I'm typically going to do is keep water pretty stable if all things are consistent. I might increase sodium a little bit here depending on the person. Oftentimes when people track their sodium pre-peak week, they miss some of it, so we need to be a little bit more aggressive on what we thought we needed to anyways. But like I said, especially on these difficult show days, I will bring those numbers up. I will say, I don't want you thirsty. I want you to pay attention to how much you are peeing and urinating. And that's going to help us to bring a fuller package. Your muscles, most of your body's water is stored within the muscle cell, not this skin, right? Not extracellularly. So if we dehydrate, we take more from within the muscle than from without. So the trick is to be conditioned enough when you're going into the show in the first place to where these things aren't necessary so we can truly bring our best. Because again, when we're flat, we look less conditioned. We look softer. We don't have the same muscularity, lines, and detail. And again, whether that's bikini or bodybuilding, those things are important. The last thing is to pay the frick attention. As a coach, this is my job, is to pay attention. And I believe that we do a pretty good job here at Pro Physique in setting all of our competitors up ahead of time to know what to expect, what to do throughout their day, and how to manage those things. Even within that though, knowing that I am preparing you ahead of time, I'm still in contact with you on the day of the show. And particularly if I'm at the show, I want to know how often we're having to use the bathroom, if we're feeling thirsty, how we're digesting food, how we feel, if we've been able to get a pump that day. All of those things are important so that I can make whatever necessary changes we need to make sure you're feeling your best and bringing your best. So making sure that not only are you contacting me as your coach or you contacting your coach, but we're both paying attention to those symptoms and signs to make sure we're bringing your best. Communication is key. Making sure that we are in communication helps us to be our best. And again, not everybody needs as much communication as others. Some of my clients are very laid back. They've done this a lot of times. And it's just a couple checkups throughout the day. And others maybe are newer competitors and really need a little bit more involvement. And so we're talking quite a bit more throughout the show day. And all those things are okay, because remember, at the end of the day, a coach's goal is for you to be your best, or it very well should be. So I hope this helps on peak week things. Peaking for a bodybuilding show, these are all really important. Take them into consideration, y'all, so that you can look your best when it matters most.